This is Antonin Artaud, or at least our version of Artaud. Of course, this is just our friend Alyssa, but with all that makeup, let's take her as Artaud. Does he look sad? Probably because it's a sad story. Yes, we're going to tell you a story. Bear with us. Antoine Marie Joseph Artaud was born on the 4th of September, 1896, in Marseille, France. At the age of 4, he suffered from meningitis and developed symptoms of depression. This left him isolated in school, short-tempered and edgy. At the age of 18, he suffered a deadly attack of neurasthenia. The opium he received as treatment resulted in his lifelong addiction to drugs and substance abuse issues. He expressed a strong will in his reluctance towards the conventions of society back then. So how did a lifetime of mental institutions begin for him? Some will tell you that because of his behavior, in 1915, at the age of 19, his parents put him in a sanatorium. Some will say he was drafted into the army at age 20, was discharged when he was caught sleepwalking, and was sent to a sanatorium for a year. Whichever the case, he spent years in and out of sanatoriums and asylums. He did, however, begin reading the works of Arthur Rimbaud and Edgar Allan Poe in his asylum. This and his partial Greek heritage and fascination with mythology led to a passion for the arts, particularly in theater and poetry. In the 1920s, he realized his love for experimental theater, and in 1921, after being released, was taken as an apprentice under Charles Dollin, a French actor whom he vigorously trained under for 18 months. Dollin's exercises emphasized on gymnastics, mime, improvisation, voice productions, and heightening one's sensory. This training would have much influence on Artaud's work in the years to come. In 1924, Artaud became an active member of the Surrealist movement. He shared their viewpoints on free thinking, anarchy, and how theater should not be a place for bourgeois entertainment, but a discovery of emotion. When André Breton, the leader of the movement, joined the Communist Party in 1926 and attempted to bring members with him, he left the movement as he hated politics and Marxism wholeheartedly. In 1927, he and two other former Surrealist Party members, Roger Vitrak and Robert Aaron, founded the short-lived Theater Alfred Jarry, named after a theater maker who had shocked audiences with his work during his time, which is what they aimed to do. The theater put up a total of 4 programs and moved around with no permanent home. He did other jobs such as acting for the camera and stage, writing screenplays, and poetry for steady income. Unsatisfied with his work as a theater producer, he found new inspiration in 1931 after witnessing a Bolognese play that greatly emphasized spectacle and dance. Finally, in 1932 and 1933, Artaud wrote and published the manifestos of the Theater of Cruelty. Thus began his career as a theoretician. At first, his theories of cruelty were not widely accepted. In his eyes, the universe was cruel, and it was that primal instinct of which man should be aware of. Based on these theories, he staged his first work in 1935, an adaptation of La Cenci by Percy Shelley. It was a failure. In fact, many of his works in theater were failures. In 1937, having failed in his theatrical career, Artaud was giving a lecture when he started screaming uncontrollably at the audience. In 1938, he was declared mentally unfit, diagnosed with schizophrenia, strapped into a straitjacket and sent back to France, where he spent the next 9 years in mental institutions. Those were some of his last years. Is this all his life served as a testament to? A lifetime of failed projects and mental illness, his work cast aside as the ravings of a madman. In 1946, upon returning to Paris, Artaud gave a 3-hour lecture reading. The audience including Nobel laureate André Gide, future Nobel laureate Albert Camus, and André Breton, acclaimed a genius. Then he died. 2 years later, at the age of 52, of colorectal cancer, cancer of the bowels. He had spent the last 3 years writing and publishing poetry, but at this point, he had already become indifferent to the idea of poetry as a release, despite having, in those 3 years, produced some of his best works yet. And that was that. A whole life gone by. From his pain came his need for the theater and poetry. and from that came his passion and talent for art that was too bold for his time. Was it all for nothing? How relevant his work is today is up for you to decide. We just wanted you to understand the man behind the madness. This was the life of Antonin Artaud.